I'm a real fly girl, I jet set round the world. Stamps on the passport, niggas tryna fly me out. About my business.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of The Way with Jazz and Tay. It is your girl Jazz and
Shantae, y'all. What it do? What's up?
Actually, two things going into this episode. The words period and like need to be kept to a minimum on my behalf.
Ooh,
Like especially we need to worry about, okay?
baby, that is a hard one to get rid of. And especially
Yeah.
when you're cognizant of it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
can I say like there?
Oh, right. You're like, see there, here we go right now. But you forget the context in which the word should even be used appropriately.
Exactly.
But
hard.
yes, and you know, you guys, just like we promised, we're on time. We're back. We're on time. Your girls are still prepared.
Curioso. I was trying to figure something else to say. I was gonna say exclamation point.
See. But yeah, we've got a pretty interesting episode lined up for you guys today. But of course, before we jump into that, how was our last week or two been, girl?
For me, like I feel like my last 2 weeks and like 6 months is all just like a work haze.
Understood.
But we have to talk about the Super Bowl.
The Kendrick Bowl.
Yeah, it truly was the Kendrick Bowl for
The
me.
Kendrick Bowl, the Philly Bowl, like were the Chiefs even in the building?
You know, not against that Philly defense. That was crazy.
It looked like the Legion of Boom when we were played against the Broncos. It looked like that game in the Super Bowl. Just embarrassing.
Girl, I don't even really watch football like that, but I was like, I kept telling everybody, I said the Chiefs didn't know what to do with that defense. They were flustered. They didn't know how to come back. Mahomes didn't know what to do.
Mahomes was crying. You see, okay, you know me, the empath in me. I definitely clearly wanted the Chiefs to lose. You know, we're rooting for everybody black out here always. And
you know, Patrick Mahomes is black.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those debates of like, he is a biracial. He's just like me. But you know how they talk about us in the black community, and you know, if you have a white
raised
mom
by a white
black
mom,
you know, yes, you get it. Cool, great. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Girl, you ain't got to tell me.
So anyways, but you know what I mean by rooting for everybody black in the sense of like, you know, just Philly, Jalen Hurts, him having an all-female management team, you know, him having a black fiance, because a lot what's that?
She's an AKA.
And an swoop or whatever they say. I don't know. Thank you.
Please don't sue us. Please don't sue us.
Sorry, no. I don't have any pink on, just the green. But anyways, yeah, just black excellence all around. But the empath in me, coming back to what I was trying to say, sorry, I got distracted. I just felt bad that they weren't scoring anything. Like, they could not move the ball. I felt really bad. I was just like, can we give them something, like a field goal? Can we get them 3?
Girl, I just feel like the Philly defense had to be so good, because it's like we've seen the Chiefs at the Super Bowl how many years in a row now? Too many.
3 in a, I think it was 3 in a, no, they made appearance out of the last like 5 of the 6 or something. The stats are like, it's crazy,
right? Like constantly, and they are, you know, generally like the best team.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, doesn't know what to do when it comes to the Chiefs, and it was like literally like they've never seen anything like this defense before. They did not know what to do. They could not recoup. They could not regroup. And it was just like, I don't know. I love to see them lose like that, because I was like, I don't.
The better team definitely won. You know,
I generally don't like blowouts, but I was like, this defense is so good. They cannot get, like, when it was like, first of all, Mahomes kept getting sacked. And I was like, we're already on 4th down again. This is crazy. Yeah. I was like, this is good football, y'all. Like, I was eating it up.
It's like Vivian and her sister Bug, they talk about a lot in basketball, and how just like how some of the the games are played and how the teams are set up and split, like you might be really, really high in your conference or division or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's solely just because the other teams aren't
That's
good.
good.
Or like,
Yeah.
you know, so of course you're going to do a great job over here. And then as soon as you go into another conference and start meeting your match, like, oh shoot, you're like, I was not prepared. I was not ready.
Exactly.
Like, and that's when those blowouts be happening.
Exactly. But I think, you know, the portion of this game that we really need to be talking about was the halftime show.
Yes. Big dub for Kendrick. Big dub for us, honestly. Happy Black History Month.
Yeah, thank you so much on Black History Month, Kendrick. I didn't expect anything less, to be honest.
You know, you know what's crazy? I will say I hate that just because of how I feel like some of my like upbringing was and just like my conditioning, I kind of went into it knowing that a certain demographic was going to be uncomfortable and cringe, and just like I could see that perspective of why it would be uncomfortable for them. You know, like I'm being triggered and imagining like how my dad would feel watching this. And
Good.
I love, you know, exactly. And I love so much that it was very much like, I'm not going to water this down and I'm not going to whitewash it for you guys. This is 100% intentional and for us. And I'm going to make it very apparent. So,
But I also think that like that is Kendrick Lamar every time. Like,
you know,
after All Right from To Pimp a Butterfly, I think that's when we should have known. Like that was the start of this.
Life.
I had
to fight.
Right? Like even the snippet at the end of the song where like they're talking about police brutality and they're talking about his songs where he's like, you know, and we don't like po-po, kill us in the streets, faux show. And the news reporter's like, I don't like it. And I'm like, but that's real life.
Yep.
What he's speaking.
Yep.
Kendrick Lamar doesn't give a fuck about your comfortability. Nope. And that's what I love about him.
No.
Like he is so unapologetically Black. He's so unapologetically himself. And he's always unapologetically speaking the truth and what you need to hear.
And the other thing too, that a lot of people, or that I feel like just in the days since it's happened, a lot of people want to try and like put down is, you know, rap music and mumble rap and what was he even saying and blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, it's not that hard to look it up. At the end of the day, Kendrick is a poet.
Can we, like, first of all, the man's got a Pulitzer Prize.
Like, this man is a poet.
Please don't play with him. Also, he's very articulate. Like, okay, if you want to talk mumble rap, what them new ones be saying?
Literally.
That's what I would like to know. If you don't understand Kendrick, you may need to check your English, period.
God, he's so, I'm just,
girl,
I will say it again. He's really on some shit that we will never understand.
He really truly is. Like, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Oh, man. I'm getting chills again thinking about it. Like,
no, girl, it's just, seriously, I can't
it was
stop.
so good.
I feel like the Beehive is buzzing again off that. Like, I have been buzzing off that shit. That shit is wild good.
What are his fans called? Like, you know, Gaga's got her monsters. Beyonce's got the Hive. What are Kendrick's fans called?
Pandas? Because of Kung Fu Kendi? I don't know.
I mean, I was like, whoa, what? Well, you said pandas, and then I'm thinking dunks, like the sneakers or whatever that they called pandas.
They should be called the Black Panthers.
Oh, they're sometimes called the K-Dots.
I don't like it.
It says Kendrick himself has referred to his fans as Kenfolk on Twitter.
Okay, I've heard that.
You've heard Kenfolk? I like
yeah, I've heard that. I like that.
I like that too. I've heard of that one as well. No, I'm lying, but I like the way that it sounds. I never heard it before, actually, but I like it.
Where'd we stop? We were just saying, oh, if you can't understand Kendrick, then you might need to check your English, period.
Yeah, no, literally. Because the other thing too is that the internet, Google is free. And anytime I've ever been like, dang, I don't know what they're saying, or I can't quite understand, I just look it up. The lyrics are usually always going to be there.
Yeah.
And his lyrics are worth looking at because there's always a message.
There's never not a message. I was gonna say he had a lot of symbolism within the actual performance itself. I was absolutely like so happy went to see Samuel L. Jackson in a role of Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
I have been referencing his role in Django Unchained nonstop to characterize and to put a face or like a character to the coons out here. And I just was like, this is so poetic for you to have him. And like also like whose budget was used to get Samuel L. Jackson? Like,
okay, listen.
Dope.
Samuel L. Jackson has never said no to a role, okay? He has taken every role. He's played every facet like of a character. Like he's that man.
Like I love that man. Like he is just like unstoppable and he's the best. And he's I don't know.
But the other thing too is like, taking budget out of it, I'm sure he got paid, but he does have a history of being like an activist and like involved in speaking out and stuff like that. So I'm not like, I feel like that is another like underlying or like layer to just the message that was trying to be construed.
Oh, absolutely. But I still want to know if he got paid.
I think so, girl.
Like, I kind of would love to hear that he didn't get paid to do this. He just wanted to come out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that just kind of feels more impactful. Like, we know he got paid. And I also would love to know, like, how much does it cost to get Samuel L. Jackson for like a skit? I don't know. I just had questions. These are just questions. I was just like, damn, like the budget was huge. I love it.
It says the NFL may cover travel costs for artists, but maintains its long-standing tradition of not paying performers for the pregame and halftime shows beyond the minimum union scale requirements.
I don't know what the union scale of entertainment industry is. It probably is like so much more than just like a regular job.
Oh, here's what it says here, diving in deeper. It's likely that he made nothing considering that the NFL does not pay performers for the pregame and halftime shows beyond the minimum union scale requirements, which typically amount to around $1,000 per day for rehearsals and the performance. So a couple racks.
Yeah, that's nothing. I would go the route then that Kendrick did too. I would send them a message that everybody would be upset about. I'd be like, I didn't get paid for this and I'm coming and I'm gonna preach my message, whether you like it or not, because you gave me the stage.
You feel me? No, but seriously. Oh man. I want to watch it again. Oh
no, I watched it immediately as soon as I got home again.
I need to watch it again, but also I forgot, just within the days to come, we've got news that his Super Bowl performance has surpassed Michael Jackson's for the most televised halftime show or most watched, whatever, it's just, he broke it. The record's been broke.
I will say
Michael Jackson's record.
I just want to say that is an amazing feat. I do just have to throw a wrench out there that we now have streaming capabilities. So like, does that skew the numbers a little bit more in his favor? It has to, right?
I wonder. Well, I don't know because like, and here's my question, because like Thursday Night Football is only available to watch on Amazon Prime now. So there are certain things that are like exclusive, and I feel like it was exclusive to Fox.
Girl,
I'm big tripping.
Yeah, like his performance. I'm pretty sure they were streaming that on damn Apple Music.
Oh, it was that. Well, but it was the Apple like halftime. It's not Pepsi anymore. It was Apple halftime show.
Girl, like you're missing it. They didn't have this kind of technology. Like Pepsi wouldn't have been able to have a platform to stream Michael Jackson.
That.
That's what I'm saying. I just think that like the numbers are skewed. It's like, it's the same thing with like Drake beating the Beatles. Like we have to take into account that the Beatles only were able to sell literal physical records. Whereas now streams are also included in like how many plays something gets. So it's like, of course you're going to surpass somebody that could only sell physical copies because you have people streaming and they can just sit there while they're asleep and your shit's going up.
The only thing I'm going to say in that vein is that the Super Bowl is one singular occurrence, whereas like you have all this. So it's just for that one moment, that one day. that many people tuned in to watch. But still, you're not wrong, because that many more people now have access to it that haven't, you know?
And
like,
that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
It's the access. Like, we have so many more access points to get to this stuff by means of generally like the internet. I don't remember when Michael Jackson did it. It was in the
1993.
90s. Yeah, baby. We didn't have that.
Baby.
Who even knows if like it, like internationally, were they watching it?
That's a great question.
Maybe just because Michael was on it, somehow they got like a bootleg to the US. I don't know, baby.
Okay.
But
so listen though, it was actually really close. He only drew in 100,000 more than Michael Jackson did.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna give
not,
it to him.
you know, yeah. And then last year, with Usher was 123 million. So he's only brought in 10 million less than both of them.
Yeah, I think that's like super powerful. And I also think it's interesting because it's like when you see numbers like that, it's kind of like when Beyonce did that halftime show for the Texans, and I forgot who they were playing. But she did the halftime show though, and it was on Netflix. And they said that like it was like so many million people tuned in just to watch her.
Rihanna.
No,
I think
I'm
that was
talking about
Rihanna.
no, I'm talking about Beyonce during that halftime show she did on Netflix.
Oh, for Super Bowl. I'm so sorry. I mean, sorry, for Christmas.
Not for Super
Christmas.
Bowl. Yes.
So
girl.
sorry. Yes. Okay.
When she did that, they said that like 5 million people, or like it was like millions of people tuned in just for that halftime show. And all of that to say, like, what I'm trying to get at here is that it's like all of y'all, like Kendrick Lamar just broke this record, but y'all wanted to sit here and say this man's performance was boring.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss my black ass.
Thank you. Because y'all still sat through it. Like, we couldn't have gotten those numbers if y'all weren't watching.
Same thing with Beyonce. Oh, y'all so hate how she did. That's not real country. And this was a terrible showing of country, but millions of people tuned in and then dropped off afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what yep.
And we can't get fucking Beyonce tickets for what now? Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. Somebody's lying.
Listen, we can't relate because we got tickets, so.
Period. That's also what happened in the last week.
That's right. Like, how can we forget? We secured our Cowboy Carter tickets, y'all.
Girl, no, I was rounding it out. I was bringing us to it.
Oh, my bad. You weren't going to forget.
We were stressed. Y'all, I thought the tradition was over. I said, we ain't even going to go see her.
Look, no, it was so funny. There was a time, both Sonora was like, you know, if you two can make it happen, we can do it, you know? That's fine. It's like, no, I just don't know in what world and what way that, like, Beyonce goes on tour and we don't see her at this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe the next one, because I'm telling you now, I'm getting a little too old for this shit. Like, I got to start being fiscally responsible, baby. Beyonce, I just need to say something, girl. I love you to death. But, like, come on. You see inflation. You see the price of eggs.
And this is why they weren't trying to give her album of the year, because they just knew her worth was about to go and skyrocket yet again.
Girl. And, like, the price of eggs is like $9 at Walmart.
Girl, 12 out here. 12.
Oh, that's disgusting. Not only that, what else was I gonna say?
That's $1 an egg.
She usually drops the tickets around the time we get our tax return.
Taxes,
baby. Nobody done filed yet.
No, some people are still waiting on their W-2s, girlfriend.
I have filed, but that direct deposit ain't hit. So, baby, I ain't got the money for it.
Still ain't hit, right? The check's not here.
The fact that these ticket prices were this high, I'm like, somebody needs to go talk to her. Like, us Norfolk, we ain't got it like that, baby.
Listen, that is a mother of 3, okay? She has kids that she needs to raise. I'm just kidding.
Period.
Blue's raised.
No, seriously though, like going back to the Super Bowl for a minute, Blue Ivy and what's the youngest one? Rumi were at the Super Bowl with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And why was I just envious of Blue Ivy's outfit? That outfit ate down. And I was
so
like,
cute.
Yes,
she's so cute.
They're making TikToks
about her. They're like, she's the it girl. She's the style icon. She's the next generation style icon, blah blah blah. I'm just like, she is, because I
Like,
wish I was her.
no, seriously. Seriously. Anyway, what else you got going on, Jazz? Because I see you got a couple other things on here and we need to know. We need to hear about it.
You know what? The only thing that really needs to be talked about is the fact that I'm walking in a fashion show.
Woo.
Yes, so on 2/14, which is this Friday, it will already have happened by the time that y'all hear this, so you'll probably get an update. But I'm walking in it. It's my first time walking in, like, I feel like a fashion show of this level. Like, we've got hair, makeup, a cool ass venue, lighting.
This is exciting.
These clothes were made to fit me. I've got this, I can't talk about it right now, but my top is so cute, girl.
Do you get to keep everything?
Oh, I wish. No, she usually
Darn.
ends up selling. She ends up selling all the pieces. Yeah. If I really wanted to, I could probably buy the top, but this isn't a top that I can see myself wearing on a regular basis.
I see.
But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Like, I auditioned for her. I've walked for her like 3 or 4 times, and I finally got cast, and I'm just really excited to work my shit.
That
Yeah.
is so much fun. Girl, I
Yeah.
would be nervous as hell.
Don't
Well, like,
don't.
no, not for the show, because like you got it at this point. I'm talking about for the casting portion. I
No,
just
it
know,
really
like,
is.
yeah, like anytime I've
Oh.
ever done like a casting call for models, I've always just been like shitting bricks on the side.
It's-
Like my stomach's bubbling.
Well, and the crazy part is, like, so they tell you to do like your regular walk, which fine, easy. Like, I know how to work a runway, okay? And then they say to do a personality walk, and I'm like, what?
I feel like that's my runway walk.
You know, well, you know what I mean? And like, what do you do
Yeah.
personality? And like, I've seen other people do personality walks, and they like drop down to a split or do like a yeah, no. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So we're not actually doing like a walk at this point. We're just kind of like,
Have fun with it.
you know? And so I don't know. I feel like I just took a sexy approach and just kind of like rubbed up my body a little bit and like played with my cleavage a teeny tiny bit. I don't know. It's you'll just understand. It was the vibe. Like, I wouldn't have just done that with anybody. But yeah, it worked. I got it. So
That's what's up. You better work.
Word. Yeah.
Sashay or Shantae, you stay. That's what's up.
Yes.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait
Thank
to see
you.
the video clips.
Yes. No, I'm excited.
It will be.
Saba is going, and so is Boogie. So I'll make sure to have Saba share all the stuff that she can get, and my mom is going.
Oh,
yeah, I got my
Mama.
mom. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Well, now that we've kind of like caught up with you all, let you know what's going on in our lives, let you guys know what we thought about the Super Bowl. I mean, the Kendrick Bowl. Let's get into the show. So today we're going to give a review of the movie It Ends With Us. And we're also going to round it out by just discussing the controversy that's been, I don't know, surrounding the movie and kind of like honestly overshadowing it at this point. Yeah, it's been very interesting, but before we get into the mess, let's get into, It Ends With Us, what it is, what our thoughts are. Yeah.
So, quick synopsis for those of you that haven't seen it. It follows a young woman whose name is Lily Bloom, which is actually really cute because she has a flower shop. Lily Bloom Flowers, whatever, kind of perfect. She falls in love with a seemingly perfect neurosurgeon named Ryle. As soon as their relationship starts to deepen, she discovers a darker side to him, leading her to confront a past filled with domestic abuse, and ultimately has to make a difficult decision to break the cycle for herself and her baby.
And if you guys are familiar with the movie, this is actually based off of a New York Times bestseller book written by Colleen Hoover in 2016. I think a lot of people on Book Talk were talking about it, and that's actually, I think, kind of what led to it becoming a movie. It was just like the impact that it had on the culture and people's lives. Some of the themes in the movie, it does a really great job of speaking of domestic violence. And
Mhm.
I'm just gonna let you guys know now, if you haven't seen it, we've got spoilers here.
Mhm.
But I thought it was also interesting. I thought that like the theme of the movie was very interesting when you think of everything that's happened with the co-stars of the movie, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, and how like just the back and forth and the nuances of Hollywood, but also just like, we'll get into it a little bit more, but like in the beginning of things, like a lot of people were like not believing Blake Lively, calling her a bad person. And it's just like very indicative of like domestic violence and how things tend to go when people step out and try to tell their truth in situations like that. They're not generally believed. And so it was just like interesting. It was like watching the movie and like knowing everything that's going on. It was just like interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, I think it did a really good job at like showing and speaking to domestic violence and like generational trauma even as well, because we find out that Lily Bloom, her mom was abused her whole life growing up by her dad. And so she grew up seeing that, and then goes and gets into this relationship that I feel like the red flags were apparent from the jump, like for us.
Right.
But I could also understand how like I don't know, they did a really good job at framing it. Like we're seeing the red flags, but we're also seeing how this love is blossoming, and you can see why she might have been so blind to it. You know?
It's interesting because when we decided to talk about this, I was like imploring with Jasmine. I was like, you have to watch it. Like the way they tell the story is so interesting to me. And I didn't read the book, so I'm sure there's a lot of this in the book. But like I had been wanting to actually watch the movie based off of the trailers, because in the trailers they make it seem like this is a romance movie. And like if you know me, I am a hopeless romantic and I love a romance movie. And first of all, like I love Justin Baldoni as an actor and I love Blake Lively as an actress. So I was like, oh my God, I have to see this movie. But then it was like, you know, in the trailer they kind of allude to like there's a plot twist. I was like, ooh, I'm into it. Let's go. And so like once I figured out and found out that like the plot twist is it's actually a story about domestic violence and it's not a romance at all, when I watched it, it was interesting because the way they chose to tell the story, it was like they gaslit you as well.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
I remember I made my cousin watch it with me, and I didn't give her any backstory on any knowledge of what I knew. I just told her like, I really want to watch this movie. If you want to watch, this is what we're doing. And it was interesting because as we're watching it, and she would be like, oh, that's really cute. And I'd be like, is it though? Like, really? Like, is it cute though? And it was like, I felt the moments. Like I felt myself like wanting to be with Raul myself. Like I'm falling for him as she is too. But because of what I knew, I was like, ooh, it's interesting, because basically what I'm trying to get at is that it's like, it shows just how easily it is to find yourself in a situation like this and not know that you are in a domestically violent or emotionally abusive relationship. And that's why, like, as my cousin's like, you know, I really think this is cute and like that's so romantic. And it was like, it's interesting because the way we're raised and in society, it's like we romanticize things that aren't necessarily romantic. And there was something I can't remember specifically, but there was something that happened in the movie, and like it was very manipulative actually.
Well,
and I was like,
as you're speaking about that one scene that's coming to my mind, that's jumping out, is when, like, you know, I think she says that her mom is coming to town or something like that. And I think there's something to be said, one, that like Justin Baldoni being as attractive as he is and like being in some of these scenes, I think on a larger scale is also a large contributor to why sometimes women will overlook a lot of shit that goes on. Cause like, damn, he's this beautiful specimen, wants to be with me, like whatever. Okay. So like him in this moment is just looking simply like irresistible. He's got his, I think he is kind of like, I think he does have her like cradled. He's like kissing on her, you know? And he's like, you didn't tell me. Like, why didn't you tell me that your mom was coming? Like, you never mentioned that. You know, she's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, don't worry. She's like, he's like, well, yeah, but you never told me. And it was such a small like detail that I feel like was so easy to overlook, but like it sent off dingers and like triggers in my mind of like, I don't like this.
I don't like that.
And
Yeah.
it was just slowly starting to kind of like set the scene for other larger things that kind of like would build up and ultimately lead to the incidents that were happening.
Absolutely. And like, again, the way they framed it was like everything seemed like it was like it would give you like a little bit of an ick, but you're like, maybe it's just like, maybe I'm projecting a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But then like when it's actually started to get physical, like the way he gaslit her and us, because baby, I didn't realize the first hit was an all out. He really hit her in the face.
No, literally.
I thought he slipped when he burnt his hand.
And
no,
that's what
hit the shit out of her for no reason. And I was like, wait a minute. Because this is not what you, this is not how you put it out there for us.
And when I watched the movie, I watched it in parts. Like I didn't get to finish it. And so I didn't get to see the like second half where they kind of like revealed that. Yeah. And Viv was like, so what do you think so far? And I was like, you know, did he actually? Like it just happened so fast. And I don't know. It was just hot, you know? And Viv was like,
No, and that's so crazy that you say that, because just like I was saying, like me and my cousin really sat there and explained that away. Like we were like, yeah, like, I mean, that was like clearly just a reaction to it being hot. Like obviously he touched it and he recoiled and he just accidentally hit her. She was right there. But then they showed it again and he actually like turned around and hit her. I was like, bro,
the shit out of her.
This has me thrown, but also I just feel like it makes me kind of like, because I'm single, I'm like, I am now like, one, ladies, listen to your intuition.
That
right?
part. No, 100%. Always.
In this movie, the flag, like the red flags were there. Like the way they met, he was already up on the rooftop throwing shit, breaking
angry
shit.
Like
and that should have been her first warning sign. Like he's unstable and he does not know how to regulate his emotions. Who knows what it looks like when there's somebody else involved. But I think she liked the attention, and I think she kind of was like she has like a rebellious streak also. So I feel like it was almost like, it's interesting because it's like, you know, she watched her mom her whole life, and then to end up in that, it was almost like she went for him because he's not somebody that like would fit the mold her family would want. But it's like, he's actually exactly your father.
Exactly. And I think I really like, overall, I liked it. And I feel kind of conflicted in the sense of like why it was received so poorly. Like before all the drama and stuff, like I really didn't think it was that bad. Like I don't understand why people were so hard about it.
So to go to that, you guys, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 55%, IMDb gave it 6.4 out of 10, and Metacritic gave it 53%. Abysmal, like an F all the way around. And it's interesting because as we were researching for this, I actually found something on Hulu. It was like a special that talked more about the controversy that we're going to get to, but it also talked about the movie. And even in that, like everybody that was involved was like, yeah, the movie wasn't good. And I was like, I liked the movie, but maybe I also had to have like read the book to understand that like maybe there is a disconnect. And something else, and we'll talk about this obviously, like maybe this is our way to segue a little bit to everything that's happened with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but based off of what we were reading in Justin Baldoni's actual lawsuit, it sounds like the movie that we saw is actually the movie that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds directed. So it's together. Like, it's interesting that all of this stuff has happened, you know, and the movie was received poorly. Like, I just find that so interesting.
That's what I was thinking too, to your point when you were talking about how like I haven't read the book, and I'm like, that's probably it. Like I wonder if it was one of those like the book was so much better than the movie and they just didn't they just didn't hit it, or the book also could just low-key be trash, and this is the it just wasn't going to get any better.
I don't know,
And
because
it could just
the way they talked about
and
it
it
on
could
Book
just
Talk.
and that's what I mean too. It's like, I just, because, well, I mean, I'm just thinking like in hindsight with Twilight. Like, Twilight wasn't really that well written, and the movies weren't really that great, but it was such a huge sensation. Like, you know, very different topics though. So
True.
it's like apples and oranges.
No, I get what you mean though. Yeah, let's segue. So like, shoot, I would say even before the movie dropped, what has been happening. So
true, yeah, because even their press tour promoting it was a garbage dumpster fire.
Honestly, that's where it all really started for the public. You know, we weren't really aware of anything going on. I mean, why would we be? We're thinking we're getting a movie, and then they start doing the press for it, and the two co-stars are not even doing press runs together. Like, they're showing up separately or not at all. Like, Blake Lively has her own going on, and Justin Baldoni is not even allowed to be at them, and everybody's just like, this is really weird. Like, what's going on?
She literally put Justin Baldoni and his team in the basement at their own premiere.
And I think that is just absolutely
insane,
unacceptable, and so disgusting, honestly. I feel very conflicted about the entire situation.
Yeah, and I will say, I'll say that I know that that's kind of how we even got onto this topic, because I think we did briefly talk about it amongst ourselves, and things were still unfolding. Like, his edited and revised like lawsuit thing, I don't think had even been put out yet. But with what you had known about the situation, you were very much like, I don't want to say team Blake necessarily, but you were like, yeah, what she said, he did, and all of this and that and the third. And I had seen other pieces of information where I was like, no, girl, like, I truly feel like Blake is the villain in this situation.
Yeah.
And as more has come out, it's kind of been egregious. Like, so I just said like again.
That's okay. Let's kind of start from the top though. So like, what happened was, you know, they started doing their press. We seen them being kind of like disjointed, right? And so everybody's like, what's going on? Like, what's the story there? And so there were a few things happening when they first started their press tour. Like, Blake Lively's promoting her liquor at the premieres and at the tour for this movie, and everybody was kind of like in the internet like, why would she do that? This is such a bad look. Like, shouldn't she be promoting like some domestic violence organization instead of her own liquor? And why is she dressed like to the nines, like this is the Met Gala? Like, they just were not feeling Blake. And so I immediately was pissed, because I was like, I don't even want to go watch the movie now, because there's all this drama. Like, we don't even know. And like, this is before anything had started to surface about the two of them together.
Right.
And then it was like, as soon as the public perception of Blake was negative, like just on its own, she then files, you know, we're also seeing them not show up together, and everybody's like searching for an answer.
And this is after like the internet has been running smear campaigns on her. They're pulling up old interviews. Videos. Like, the internet is really doing their big one and trying to expose her.
And so I was like, well, fuck, because like I said earlier, I love Blake Lively and I love Justin Baldoni. I was like, now I'm just going to be upset because, you know, like, now she's a shitty person, and I don't want to I don't want to even like support the movie anymore. So then it comes out, and Blake Lively puts out a sexual harassment lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, his production company, and his and also sues the publicist for doing a smear campaign on her. So we're all like, what?
Yeah.
This is so crazy, you guys, because first of all, if you know anything about Justin Baldoni, like, first of all, I met him on Jane the Virgin. I have loved him since he was Raphael. The man's gorgeous. Like, I can't not look at him and love him. Okay,
he is. And then he still looks great without a shirt on. Also,
girl, he always will.
His soul.
the thing about him is that he has always, since Jane the Virgin, like I started following him then. This is probably back in like mid early 2000s, like 2016, 17. And he has always been an advocate for women, and like also has a podcast that speaks to like toxic masculinity as well. So he's very self-aware, and he just, how they were trying to paint him in this sexual harassment claim, it's uncharacteristic.
Yep.
So we're all sitting here with a bunch of question marks, because we're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And where is this coming from? Like, this is not the Justin that we know. And also when she released like this stuff, or like just the stuff that I was seeing, I immediately was calling BS, or I was like, there's bits and pieces missing. Like, a lot of this is taken out of context. Like, you know, the way that it was like put out there is, I was like, no, you can tell that this is a very curated kind of like assault attack.
And not only that, but she also used, was it the New York Times that she put, like, I don't even think she like served him his papers. I think it, like, she put it out, wrote like an, like there was like there was like a piece put out by the New York Times about this, and that was like everybody's first time even knowing and or hearing about this.
And again, now learning more about, like, knowing what we know now about the situation, of course she would do that. Right. She would.
Right. Girl, it is bad. So, you know, we're all sitting here at this point, you guys, like, for me on the journey, I'm like, now I'm really not gonna fucking watch the movie, because not only are they, you know, hating on Blake, saying she's doing blackface, saying she's not a nice person, but now Justin Baldoni sexually harassed Blake. Oh baby, throw the whole movie away. Let's start again with all new people, because at this point you don't even know there's a movie. Like, we didn't even know the movie was out.
And they're supposed to be like, she wrote more books about this story.
Yes.
We can't even get those now.
Well, we might. And so, like, that's also come up in discussion with everything that's gone on. So now that they're basically, you know, defaming or, you know, trashing Justin Baldoni's reputation, they've stolen his movie, his livelihood. Like, his whole production company is now having to face the consequences of her filing the sexual harassment suit. So he's like, fuck this. I've taken enough abuse by this woman and her husband. And so he countersues. He also, like, a couple weeks after that, puts out a website with just 2 PDFs on it. One with a timeline of everything that's happened from day one when he got the rights to write the movie or direct the movie from the author herself. And
emails, text conversations,
everything.
Like, everything.
And then the other thing was his amended complaint or lawsuit. Baby, I read most of it. And when I tell you it's a fucking mess, it is messy. And
Blake picked the wrong one.
Oh, baby. But I also think that, like, it's interesting because it's like, I'm glad that he saved all this stuff, but I think it's interesting because it's like, as you're reading this document on this website, all of this stuff that she did, like the sexual harassment suit or whatever, like, she did have a moment where she felt uncomfortable, and she addressed it when they were filming, and they did things in order to make her comfortable. Like, Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni were like, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry if you felt uncomfortable, we will follow your instructions and make sure that there's an intimacy coordinator. But then further reading it, like, they would have scheduled meetings. Yeah, she would not go to the meetings with the intimacy coordinator and be like, oh, just send me the notes. Baby, I'm sorry, you can't lodge a complaint and then not be the one at least showing up to the motherfucking meetings, and then to sue me. And try again.
It's and a lot of it truly seems like, I feel like in some of the ways, I feel like she was intentionally trying to, like, set him up so that in the event of something like this happening, she could counter, you know, like, especially the conversation about her complaining about oh, he demanded to come into my trailer while I was completely topless because I had been breastfeeding. And in the conversation, again, he provided receipts. She invited him into that space.
And like one of the producers as well.
Yeah, but then also confided and was like, I will be nursing, but I'll be cut. Like, it's just.
And he said he turned away. Like they said, no, if that ever happened, they were not looking at her like that. And yeah, I think she definitely orchestrated this entire thing. I think that like maybe one thing happened that she didn't like, or I really think that she wanted to be the director. She wanted, or a co-director. She just wanted to have more control over the movie than she did initially coming in. And I think that she weaseled her way in to get exactly what she wanted. And she took every step possible to make sure that the way she orchestrated it and manipulated it would make it seem like, oh yeah, and if things don't go my way, I have a case because I've planted the seed already.
I'm not sure if I sent you this video, but there's a video of her doing an interview in which she's talking about another project that she's worked on. And she's literally pretty much laying out exactly what she did in this movie is, they don't realize that when they hire me on as an actor, they're also hiring a producer and a director and someone who has certain needs that need to be met, and that they might get uncomfortable when I need to be involved in all of these things and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, girl, they better be using this as like evidence to establish like a pattern, because you're admitting that you literally are used to doing this on set.
All we needed Blake to do was act. We didn't need you as the director. We didn't need you to try to push Justin Baldoni out. I also just like, one, with Justin Baldoni, like what I was reading is that like he, as a director and with his production company Wayfair, what he's been trying to do with the movies that he's directing is really finding movies that are about something. Like he's trying to really affect change with the medium of art that he's chosen. So he's directing movies that he feels like have impact. So that's why he chose this one, because it's telling a story of domestic violence. So there was supposed to be, like, when they did the press runs, they were supposed to have a domestic violence organization involved. There would be funds going to them. They would be promoted, and, there would be awareness brought to them. None of that happened with Blake involved in it. And also, again, going back to everything that has happened has overshadowed the larger message. And I think that it's really unfortunate, because I think that what Baldoni, just like from reading, everything that was given, all the receipts, he was really trying to do something beautiful here, really shine a light on Colleen Hoover, and specifically trying to also shine a light on domestic violence in a way that I don't think has really been done before. Again, like we all went into this thing and it was a romance movie, and like surprise, surprise.
No, you're absolutely right there. And I don't even think I was thinking about it in that sense, but like when you think about domestic violence movies, like I think about like Enough, like it and stuff like that. You don't think about it being done in this way, in which, like you've said, like you said, your cousin said, like many of us have felt like very confused and conflicted on how to feel about it. And that's so real. Like domestic violence isn't as clear as day as straight up being beat all the time.
And I think it also kind of like, it really shows how, like, when people are in a domestic violence situation and people are like, well, why don't you just leave? And I don't understand. It couldn't be me, because it doesn't look it doesn't look like it to you. A lot of people will explain things away for love, for history, or just for the simple fact that they don't recognize it, because no, domestic violence is him throwing me over the balcony. Like, that's a really extreme example, but like what I'm trying to say is that like they don't recognize it unless it's an extreme form of that. But it's like this movie does a really good job, like, and even the way the movie ends, basically they end up getting a divorce after she has their baby, and that's why it's called It Ends With Us, because she decides that with her and her daughter the cycle is going to end. And I really liked, there was like a dialogue between them at the end where she asked him, if our daughter came to you and said she was going to marry a man who was hurting her, but she loved him and she wanted to stay with him, what would you tell her to do? And he said, I would tell her to leave immediately. And she was like, even though like she was saying, like, I love you. There is love there, but we are not good for each other. And it's not good for our daughter to be coming into a situation like that. And I thought that that was so powerful and necessary, because I think that like a lot of people in these situations, that is their breaking point. Like, you really have to make a decision for your kid, because just like her, if not, it's a vicious cycle.
And it's truly crazy how some people just like, I don't know. I know you're at your most vulnerable when you do decide to leave. So it's very dangerous, which
it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's dangerous. A lot of the times there's financial abuse going on.
I was going to say, you don't have the resources. They've isolated you from your family, so you may not have anybody to even support you in this time.
It's hard. It's so hard. There's so many reasons why it's to justify. It's easier to stay. It was easier to stay than it was to leave.
Yeah.
And it's so like, it's not lost on anybody that those who have done it, those who are trying to do it, like, it's one of the hardest things that you'll ever be able to do.
Right.
And yeah, a lot of people overlook it, or they just call them weak because they haven't done it already. They're not respected even by other women or peers, just it's sorry.
That's okay. I was going to say there's a sequel to this book called It Starts With Us.
Oh, cool. Oh yeah. Did you read it?
I didn't. Girl, I haven't read any of these books. I'm going to have to at this point. But
let me get on Audible real quick.
It basically continues where they left off, and it's showing Lily's life now with her daughter. I'm assuming that she ends up with her childhood love, Atlas. So in this movie, she has a childhood love, Atlas. They don't end up together because her dad beat the shit out of him because he found them, canoodling when they were teenagers. And so he comes back up when she's dating Ryle, and that's actually when she decides to leave, because he's like, he knows about her mother's situation. He also had a mother who was with men who beat her, and he was actually homeless because he didn't want to be around it. And I actually think that like his mother chose the man over him, and that's why he got put out.
And this happens also more often than you think, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think that the thing with domestic violence is that a lot of people, not a lot of people, and let me not speak in a generalization, but I read something recently that said that we accept the love that we think we deserve. And I think that in domestically violent situations, a lot of people feel like this is the best that I can get. And that's, and if they're like, they have a kid, this is the best that I can get. And if they don't like my kid, then like, I'd rather get rid of my kid than lose what feels like some semblance of love. But
so sad.
All of that to say, they are gonna have, there's talks of there being a sequel of the movie. So they're going to be doing It Starts With Us. So there's been conversations around, well, who is going to be able to direct this one with everything that's gone on? I don't think it's going to be Justin Baldoni, unfortunately, just because I think that his relationship with the writer is now severed because of Blake Lively. I think that yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
And so it'll be interesting to see if it's Lively, or it'll be interesting to see if they even do the second book, because as I was reading the amended complaints on Justin Baldoni's website, when this all started in 2019, Colleen, the writer, was very hesitant to even let anybody turn this into a movie, because previously she had tried this like twice before, and she just explained how like I've had a situation where it went really bad, and I've had a situation where it went really good, and so it just sucks that it's like, and here's another really, really, really bad one
situation,
because you've got like what Hollywood's like power it couple involved, and Justin Baldoni, who, I feel like people who know him know and love him, and it's gotten a lot of media attention. They were saying that this trial could be as big and as like televised as the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial.
Oh my God.
And it's mainly because of like Lively and Ryan Reynolds super celebrity, but it's also because of the book and how popular the book was before
there's
it was
a lot of
even
people who are like super invested just because of the story as a whole.
Exactly.
And Colleen Hoover. Ugh,
exactly.
Jesus.
And I just looked this up, but girl, this freaking trial date is not set until March 6th of 2026.
Oh my God, we have over a year to wait.
Over a year.
Ugh. I'm thinking that they probably, like, hopefully somewhere between now and then they figure out a, like, settlement or whatever, and Blake has to, like, publicly apologize or something. I don't know.
Publicly apologize? Baby, retire.
I'm dead. She's never gonna work in this town ever again.
I mean, she will, but like what sucks is that like the way this has been positioned and because of who she and Ryan Reynolds are, Justin Baldoni might actually never work in Hollywood again. He may not be able to recoup. Like he said that they have this has financially crippled his production company. How do you come back from that when this is the perception of you?
Yeah.
Like this is essentially like Me Too.
I don't know.
I don't believe it.
I'm just really, really hopeful that like because of the fact that he has been so transparent about everything, that it does work out for him in his favor. I really do.
Because I love him.
And I might be on the like for Baldoni side of TikTok and stuff, because I've been seeing nothing but a continuation of like a Blake Lively smear campaign and stuff, you know? So I'm really just hopeful that I don't know. I don't want what happened in November with Donald Trump and Kamala to happen with this situation. I don't want that.
I also think this is one other thing I just wanted to bring up, and we can wrap this up after, but because I don't know how eloquent I'm going to say it, but
it's okay.
This is this situation is very indicative of like America currently, and also like there's like this sentiment, or just like I keep hearing this a lot, and I'm like, it's very interesting because it's like I feel like if you're a Black woman or if you're Black in America, you know this to be true, but it's like to see it play out with someone like Blake Lively, who, you know, we know and have loved. It's very interesting. But basically saying that like white women are the most dangerous people in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting because it's like, it takes me back to like the pandemic with like the Karens who were lying on people in parks and getting them arrested and like threatening their livelihood, but also just
the
like
screaming and the crying and the I'm a victim or help me.
Kids setting up water stands and they're calling cops on them. And it's like, you're doing something in your mind, like you feel afraid, but what you don't understand is that like by calling the cops on a Black person, it's like a 50-50 chance of how that's gonna end, and it always ends up bad.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like you've just now escalated the situation in a way that I don't know if they're as calculated as to think like, oh, it's gonna go this bad, but like there's no thought or stop to think like and I could get this person killed today.
I mean, and to that same vein, in the same conversation, like people in real life will do that. Like they will threaten their boyfriend or partner who is a person of color, and them being a white person, knowing that this person either like obviously we just have generational trauma related to this stuff, or they have a history with the law already, and or maybe like just don't need any kind of interaction with them. And every time you guys get into like a fight or a blow up or something, you threaten them like, oh, I'm gonna call the cops on you. Is that not another form of like abuse? That's psychological.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing that these Karens are doing.
And the fact that they don't see the issue with it is what's so wild to me. But bringing it back to Blake Lively, it's like you have literally weaponized your white privilege against somebody who, you know, effectively most people don't really know who Justin Baldoni is.
Really?
I'm like, girl, when I watched that little series that I sent to you on Hulu, and they were like, I don't even know who this man is. But you know, like if you know him from
Jane the
He
Virgin.
was actually on Young and the Restless too, which I didn't know. That's where he got his start. And then he
I
went to
believe it.
Virgin. But I'm like, I feel like if you started on Jane the Virgin, then you kind of know who he is, because I feel like you got hooked there, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they were on there, and a lot of them were like, yeah, I didn't even know who he was before all of this.
That's crazy.
And I just think it's absolutely deplorable, and I think it's disgusting what Blake is doing. And I hope that Justin Baldoni comes out on the other side of this and is able to continue his career and make impactful film.
So do I. Yeah.
And like, I'll also say this too. I felt conflicted by it because I do feel like there's truth to both sides of the story. I think with Blake's situation, it's like they're trying to sum this up like it's a Me Too thing, and it's like super egregious. And I think that, like, yes, there probably was some form of uncomfortability, and she absolutely was validated and right to file that complaint. And, you know, to say I was uncomfortable in this moment, whatever. I can validate that and say, yeah, there's nothing wrong there. But I think that everything that has ensued since then and how they have gone about everything is shining a light on her. And I genuinely think that, like, she's using her white privilege and her celebrity and her husband, you know, being her damn bulldog, essentially. Like, I'm seeing Ryan Reynolds in a whole new light. And girl, there was another thing in the amended complaint. In one of his most recent movies, they did a scene, and there was
Deadpool Wolverine.
Yes, there was a scene, and there was a character that had like a man bun, and they said that was supposed to be like a caricature diss of Justin Baldoni. Again,
Yep.
I just feel like they are trying to absolutely obliterate his reputation and make sure he's blacklisted. And I think that it's completely unfair. And it's like, again, she felt this way, but I genuinely don't feel like it was as malicious, or that was supposed to be the intent or impact of what happened. But who knows?
Understood.
Who knows? I don't know. I wasn't there. I think there's three sides. The truth there, Blake Lively's story, Justin Baldoni's story, and the action fucking truth. So I'm also not completely not sold that they didn't have a fucking affair on this.
Affair. Okay, you feel me? I've been kind of saying this too. Like, I kind of feel like, or like, I don't want to say maybe an affair, but like, what if one or the other did make an advance and was rejected, and then all this shit's now like, oh, that's the game you want to play? Well, I'll show you. Like, you know, I don't know. But I like, because I mean, look at him. And look at her. And some of the scenes that they were doing, you can't mean to tell me, like, girl, I can't even play. I'm acting or not, I would feel something.
I mean, let's just say this, like, we're going to take it in a non-serious, but like, you've got Ryan Reynolds on the left, you got Justin Baldoni. Which one are you taking?
I would take Baldoni every time.
Every time. I don't even need another option.
For me, he's already winning because he's dark haired and he's hairy.
He is like, tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah, literally. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so that is the Lively versus Baldoni situation, and our review of It Ends With Us. I feel so sorry that the movie has felt overshadowed, but maybe this has also given it some publicity and people are watching it because of this.
I do feel like a lot more people have seen it and everything because of all the drama. So hopefully they're making some money off of it.
Yeah. You know, because hopefully some funds are going to like domestic violence.
But I think we're just definitely going to have to keep monitoring this because, like, one, to see if it gets dropped or if they settle. And then two, just a year from now, when the trial actually begins, we get to find out the real nasty, ugly, dirty truth. More so than I guess we already know, because I feel like Baldoni's laid it all out.
Oh my God. That thing is nothing. If they're, baby, I put it in one of those things where it reads it out loud to you. It was 3 hours in length.
Oh my God. That's like a short novel. It is a short novel.
It is a short novel. Baby. That's a movie.
And 100 and something pages.
Girl, it was
almost
just
200.
It was nearly 200 pages.
Yeah.
But yeah, so quick recap. How we feeling about the show? So Kendrick Bowl, Super Bowl.
The way.
Go Birds.
The way.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. The way, all the way. Walking in a fashion show. That will be the way.
Absolutely the way. Absolutely.
Just hope I don't bust my ass.
You'll be okay. Even if you do, just play it off. And
I will. I'll make it seem like it's a part of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
That can be a part of your personality walk, girl.
Just playing it.
Just don't let it phase you if you do, like I meant to do that.
Right.
And then it ends with Us, the movie.
I'm gonna say The Way.
Personally, I don't know why. I think I need to do a little bit of research on why they rated it so low, because a lot of people were not happy.
I'm confused.
And I want to go back to what I said earlier. Is this the cut that Blake Lively?
Right. True.
Basically, because they said that she stole his movie.
Yes.
And what they ended up putting out was her version and not his. So I'm kind of like, I hope he ends up putting out his version somewhere on bootleg.
And watch that one get an Oscar.
Because it's probably good as fuck. Yeah, I agree. It was The Way.
The Way.
The situation going on between the two of them, not the way.
No, not in any aspect. Because at the end, even no matter who wins, nobody's really winning.
Exactly.
Yeah, nobody's really winning.
Yeah,
and I feel really bad for the author. First and foremost.
Oh my gosh.
Solely for her. I really feel for her.
The author, the cause, the people involved, not so much Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, but Wayfarer Productions and Justin Baldoni, like they're just starting out. It sucks to see. And because they've been working on it for so long, like all of this started in 2019. I
think Blake Lively's had like 2 kids since then.
Yeah, like it's been 6 years of this. There was like a freaking strike, a union strike.
That's
for
right.
The actors.
Yeah, they couldn't even work
in the middle of this. Yeah, So I hope it all gets sorted out before the 2026, because that seems wild. It did say that it could get pushed up if it continues to be like heavily I don't know what the word I'm looking for
is. Publicized.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Which makes sense though, because you still need to have people in the jury that are not biased, and like they still need to be subjective. So I understand getting under the way.
I feel like that's the reason why they should do it down.
Like sooner. Exactly. I agree.
Because why would we wait a year? Don't give people enough time to read that full 3-hour novel and then also listen to our podcast and then watch the Nightline Times, Times Impact interview, and then watch the interview with that Swedish lady where Blake's a super bitch, like girl, because
she's always congratulations on your little bit.
When she said that, I was like, because why would she say that to her?
Yeah,
that was so mean. Anyway. That is our show.
That is our show. You're right.
We have really enjoyed talking to you guys. We would love to know what you guys think. If you've seen the movie, what did you think? If you've read the book, is the book better than the movie, and should we read it? And then also, what do you think about Lively and Baldoni's situation? Whose side are you on? Also, I would love to know what y'all thought about Kendrick's performance at the halftime show. Are you woke or not? Because basically, if you said you didn't like it, we're gonna block you.
Yeah, it wasn't for you. If you didn't like it, then it wasn't for you. That means you saw it, but you didn't see it.
FUBU, for us, by us. All right,
always. Okay.
And as always, you guys can let us know your thoughts, comments, anything, topics you want to hear us talk about in our DMs. Our Instagram is The Way Jazz and Tay. Our Twitter is The Way JT. Our Facebook is The Way with Jazz and Tay. You could DM us directly, but please don't, because I block folks for less.
I'm screaming. Okay.
It has been a great show, and thank you all for tuning in.
Until next time, bye.
Peace.
I'm a real fly girl, I jet set round the world. Stamps on the passport, niggas tryna fly me out. About my business like a